Grande, welcome into the Better Baseball MLB DFS Playbook live show here for Monday's 10-game main slate. James kicking off Monday with a big 10-gamer here. Coors Field on the slate, something to watch there as well as we go through, breaking it all down. Justin Vreeland has the playbook out for all of you who are already a member of the Fantasy Alarm family. If you are not yet a member of the Fantasy Alarm family, you see that scroll down below, fantasyalarm.com/all-pro. Promo code MLB50 will get you 50% off the first 6 months. That's $19.98 a month for the first 6 months. Plus, you get a 7-day free trial now when you join. So you can get in, join for free, 7 days. Check out the playbook, follow along with the live stream, get in our premium Discord, get your answers right up to roster lock there, and set you guys up for success for this upcoming week of the MLB DFS season. James, 10 games kicking it off here. Like we said, we generally like to go take a look at Las Vegas for some game totals, some spreads. Before we do all that, though, man, how you feeling?
John, happy Monday. Monday after your wedding weekend. It was a fabulous wedding. Your wife did a fantastic job setting it all up, made you look pretty. So kudos to Rebecca. I just showed up
and played the role. She did all the work.
Yeah.
She was fantastic.
Kudos to Rebecca for that. But it is Monday. And also, if anyone wants it, we do a podcast daily too. That airs at 9 a.m. on the Better Sports Network every single Monday through Friday. So you can check that out as well. Just a little sprinkle on top to this live stream. But yeah, man, I mean, it's a solid slate. Pitching is one of those, we have one of those days where it really falls off a table, and with 10 games, that's like the least fun thing because you don't have any value when you have like all these big time bats and you have cores that you want to spend up on. Unfortunately, we have the Reds in core, so they're not exactly too expensive outside of, a couple of guys like Jonathan India, but overall, solid slate. There's some solid arms, not a lot of value, but I'm ready to get into it. Should be a fun one.
Sure. Let's get into it. Like we said, we'll head on over to Las Vegas here, talking about game totals, talking about spreads. Give us obviously the Coors Field is going to have the highest game total on the board. Where else are we looking when it comes to runs tonight?
Yeah, so biggest favorite on the board tonight are the San Diego Padres. They're sending Michael Wacha to the mound to face the Kansas City Royals. And this is something you and I have talked about a lot lately, especially how the Royals have just looked better. So it's, surprising to see the line move towards San Diego. It opened at 192. It's now at 225, in some places minus 230 over on FanDuel Sportsbook. So really like San Diego. The money line there, 225 to 230. Same thing for Merrill Kelly. It's risen in his corner as well. He is going to Oakland to take a look and face off against the Oakland Athletics. Minus 210 to minus 220 anywhere, depending on where you look. Framber Valdez, also some money line movement in his favor. Minus 190 for Valdez. Minus 195 over on DraftKings. So some good odds on for him. And I think the most interesting thing of the day is when you and I recorded, Texas they had Dane Dunning slated to start. The odds have vastly shifted today. I don't think we've gotten anything from Texas.
Not yet, no.
So Bradford is pitching. So it's not, it's Cody Bradford. He is making his major league debut.
Not in the player pool.
Not in the player pool. So when that was learned, John, the odds shifted. It was minus 128 Atlanta, plus 118 Texas at home. It is now 165 in favor of Atlanta, plus 140 for Texas. Cody Bradford not in the top 100 in terms of the prospect ranking, but in 7 AAA starts at PCL, in the PCL, so AAA Round Rock for Texas, 0.91 ERA. Just throwing that out there. So toughest place to pitch in AAA, 0.91 ERA in 7 starts. So navigating the waters quite well. But, obviously that's why we've seen line movement there. Alek Manoah, sizable 155 favorite, but
he's not even a top 30 prospect in their organization.
No. No, he was terrible. I mean, if you look at the numbers, like last year, 5.01 ERA in Double A, and then this year there's just been
He
this.
is a lefty, so
He
they
is a
got
lefty.
a minor league lefty coming in against Atlanta here tonight, which throws a lot more guys potentially uh, in our view here. 25-year-old
Yep.
as well, just made his AAA debut this season. To your point, um, insane numbers.
Yep.
So yeah, good to see. Quick riser. Graduated in 2019 up to the major leagues in about 4 years. So made their way through there pretty quick. So all right, good to see there. Anything else game total wise we should be looking at?
Over unders, interestingly enough, Coors Field might be maybe the lowest Coors Field over under that we've had in maybe since like their opening weekend. Opened at 11.5. I see it at 11 in some places 10.5. So interesting nugget there. A lot of people betting the under in Coors Field. We have 10 runs implied in the Boston Seattle game. We have 9.5 implied in the Yankees Toronto game. Yankees are electing to go opener. We have two openers. Philly is also electing to go opener with Bailey Falter slated to start behind him. 9 runs in that game. So some line movement, some run movement. Two games with 10 runs implied or higher. So that's interesting as we head into the pitching position.
Yeah. Just pulling quickly back to Bradford. Don't need to waste a ton of time. I went over to Fangraphs just to see if there's anything that was maybe sticking out there. 0.91 ERA, as you mentioned, he's got a 5.19 xFIP over there. They have a 206 batting average and balls in play against them, almost 3 walks per 9, a 92.5% strand rate, 32% ground ball rate. So I don't necessarily think those numbers will play up potentially
No.
up at the major league level. Not a big strikeout guy, only 8.3 strikeouts per 9. So generally, the major league level, if you're letting guys put bat on ball here, you're not going to be as lucky. But we've seen stranger things happen, of course. So let's get into it. Like we said here, if you're watching, you got any questions, type them in the chat. Get your questions there. James and I will break it down, answer them live on air for you all here. We'll start off at the pitcher position. Framber Valdez is your top price guy here. We call him the quality start god. He is fantastic over on FanDuel for those who play over on FanDuel because you get the points there for the quality starts here. Home against Chicago. We mentioned on the show this morning. The Cubs this year against lefties pretty decent. They do rank among the top 10 or so in a lot of offensive categories, but they also do strike out. So there's that little hitch to them against lefties. Yeah, Pablo Lopez up over 10K on the road against the Dodgers. George Kirby against Boston at 94. Freddie Peralta at 9K going up against St. Louis is your top 4 price starters here. James, if we're breaking it down, we're looking to pick someone from this tier. How are we going about it today?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Frambar number 1. I'm perfectly fine getting there, even though Chicago has been decent. And they added a little wrinkle to the Cubs lineup today, John. Christopher Morel leading off. But it's not a good wrinkle because Morel's been good against righties during his short, stint, and maybe that works itself out and evens out throughout the course of his career. But Christopher Morel leading off, that's a lot of strikeout upside for 4 at bats. If we get 3 Ks for Framber there, so I like Framber. I like the strikeout upside as you mentioned. I mean, 4 of the last 5 starts, 7+, and he had the 12 last time out against an Angels offense that we typically like using against lefties, right? And that's just goes to show you how good Valdez really is. You can get to Lopez. He obviously is going to be lower owned than Valdez or other guys at this tier because the Dodgers offense is so potent. I mean, you look at their numbers against righties. It's like one guy after another just with elite number in ISO, elite number with WOBA. So, it's a really tough matchup. But Pablo Lopez, excluding back-to-back starts against, wait for it, the Royals and the Nationals, has had a lot of success this year. I mean, no other start other than those 2 he's allowed more than 2 earned runs. So yeah, sadly. So still even in those games though, 7 strikeouts against KC, 6 against Washington. He has had 6 or more strikeouts in every outing this year. So Pablo Lopez reliable there, still secondary to Valdez. Think he's secondary to Peralta too. And St. Louis is has been good in past years. And
they woke up a little bit against the Red Sox the last series they just had.
They did. Very good hitting environment in Fenway. Definitely not as good in Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Like that is not the
Right.
case as it is in Fenway. Another Seattle not hitting, and they have a 10 implied run total, sending one of their best pitchers to the mound. Right, like that's just well, that's also baked into a ballpark. Like
Yeah.
So I do kind of
They've
like
been pretty good
Freddie
against
Peralta.
right-handed pitching, just to kind of throw some stats out there. Seventh in slugging, they have just a 20% strikeout rate against right-handed pitching on the season. They rank let's see, where are they? They rank eighth in WOBA. Isolated power, they rank eighth. So they've been pretty decent against righties, but Peralta's also been very, very good. So something that, we could even that off there a little bit.
Yeah, and it's definitely helped them. Like they missed Nootbaar at the beginning half of the year. They got him back, and now like he leads off against right-handed pitching, and he's been dynamite. But like the end of their lineup, Donovan, DeJong, Burleson, Edmund hasn't
Right.
necessarily been great against right-handed pitching. So if you navigate those early waters, Peralta has already had success against Seattle or St. Louis, excuse me, this year. And I don't think like when you look at the rest of pitching, how many other guys has of the upside that Peralta has in the
Yeah.
strikeout department? I mean, Merrill Kelly is a great play, but does he have 10 strikeout upside? Maybe like he's done it against Washington, so I guess that's like
It's the hardest team in
good, but
baseball to
like
strike out. He had 10 strikeouts. So
true, true, but like that has like long not been Merrill Kelly, where like Freddie Peralta has a sustained history of striking
sure.
people out. Like George Kirby,
Oakland does have the
not
highest
like
strikeout rate in baseball against righties this year, 25.7%. So
correct. And I'm not this is not me like poo-pooing Merrill Kelly. He's one of the highest projected roster pitchers of the slate. You and I like Merrill Kelly every
yep.
slate. But if you were to sit here and tell me like if we're just blanking out like the opponent, who has more upside between Freddie Peralta and Merrill Kelly? It's Freddie Peralta for me 10 out of
Yeah,
10
I would
times.
agree with you. No arguments with me on that one either. We mentioned kind of the mid tier. We like Merrill Kelly here.
Yep.
Um, does Charlie Morton tickle a fancy for you at all? Tanner Houck against Seattle, given their recent, their stretches. I mean, Alek Manoah had his one good start against that awful Yankees lineup. I mean, is there anybody down here that you're looking at, or does it go to the biggest favorite on the board, Michael Wacha, there at $7,800?
Yeah, I mean like Morton is interesting. He's been pretty steady outside of the Mets start this year. I mean, 3 earned runs or less. We've started getting more consistent pitches out of Morton the last 3 starts, 192, 108, including like what 4 of his last 5 starts have spanned at least 6 innings. So as you mentioned, like the quality start is in play for Charlie Morton. So I like 8,500. Texas offense is obviously scary. Um, let's see. I just saw it. I want to see what they're sending out there, John. Grossman hitting second still. Like their standard lineup. Josh Smith eighth, Lodi Tavares ninth. Like it's an exploitable lineup. We just know what Texas can be against righties. Like they're probably two dangerous hitters
Yeah.
hit
Adolis and
better against
Semien are
righties.
both much better against right-handed pitching.
So like I like Morton 85. I also like Tanner Houck 81 is interesting. Now, another one of these situations, I think Morton just has more upside, but Houck definitely has the better matchup. Seattle ranks bottom 10 in OPS, WOBA, and isolated power against right-handed pitching. They are seventh in or third in strikeout rate. Like it's a good spot. The problem is the game total and the ballpark and I know because I was there that it's warm in Boston right now, right?
Yeah,
It's the
still good weather. Good weather
so
in May.
that's scary. Ball traveling in Fenway, we've seen like literally hit people outside the stadium,
Yeah.
So um
We got
I
winds blowing out as well tonight at Fenway.
I
So
mean that's just not. So I do think it arrives at Waka, and it's like, what do you want to do with Michael Waka? Because it's been a roller coaster ride rostering the guy this year, where there's been some starts where he's looked awful.
Yeah, back-to-back
Home
starts
against
and negative
Colorado.
points. So, I mean,
Yeah, and he struggles with Colorado in his first start of the year. And I know he's this big favorite, and San Diego in theory should beat up on Brad Keller. But we profiled this on the podcast this morning. Nobody San Diego has Tatis and Soto hitting, and
right.
nobody else. So like I know, again, in theory, this is, he's at home. He's a big favorite. There should be a win, but that's not guaranteed, especially Kansas City being a top 3 offense in the league over the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, I have interest in Waka. Conversely, I could see a scenario like Michael Waka being one of the highest rostered pitchers on the slate would make me want to use Royals more. And we've talked about this a lot, like just being contrarian against chalk pitchers that aren't good. This could be one of those spots. Yes, Michael Waka has one earned run over his last 12 innings. Michael Waka can also get absolutely shellacked and be out of this game by the third
Right.
inning. I mean, he's the fourth highest projected rostered pitcher tonight,
Mhm.
right? Higher than Freddie Peralta, Manoah, Flaherty. Like at this tier, if knowing that Michael Waka is the higher owned, and Jimmy Cordero is just opening for Johnny Brito tonight,
Yeah,
so
I was
don't
gonna
worry
say, I
about
was just
him.
clicking to see what the note was on him.
He's not someone he's not in there for a long time. He's in
Well,
there
we
for
liked Toronto because of Brito. I was seeing if Brito was pulled or if he was going to come in as a bulk guy.
yeah. He's gonna
Yeah.
follow Cordero. So it's definitely just like one of those situations where I would rather play Flaherty at lower ownership than Waka. I'd probably rather play Manoah, even though it's not like the best.
No, I'd
Uh,
play Walker over.
yeah, I guess, but the Flaherty thing is interesting because we know how up and down Milwaukee's offense can
Yeah, but
be.
they do hit righties pretty well.
They do hit righties good, but like Michael Wacha gets crushed against lefties. The with Nick Prado hitting 350 this year, like Kansas City's offense is just now better built to hit
Right.
Wacha. Like
Yeah,
it's not like they can't also hit righties well
sure.
at the same time
All right, let's go to catcher here. Up at the top, guys like Will Smith, Real Muto, Murphy, Stevenson's got the Coors Field boop at $4,800 there. Salvi Perez against Waka at 47. Though we like Waka, I mentioned the power with Perez right now. Pretty crazy here. So, talking about this 4K and above catcher tier.
Yeah, I mean, Real Muto's been on fire. If you want to go there, you can. Hits in 7 straight games, bunch of RBIs. I just don't think there's like enough upside for me, at least compared to Stevenson going into Coors. That's an obvious play. And then Salvi Perez just hitting everything out of the ballpark right now. And that's kind of the point about Waka. Like, Salvi is, I mean, look, the run totals have just been there for pretty much all of May for Kansas City. When you just look up and down the box score, and Salvi's been obviously a driving force of that. So I think Salvi's the guy in this tier. Obviously, the ownership suggests Tyler Stevenson is going to be the guy because
But
that's
Salvi's your
just
pivot off of Stevenson tonight. Stevenson going to be the chalk in this range.
yeah. It is interesting because Sean Murphy and Cal Raleigh also checking in at similar ownership to Stevenson. I don't hate the Murphy thing because we just mentioned a lefty who
Well, that's the thing, right?
pitches to a lot of
Yeah, it's a good
contact.
spot. It's definitely a good spot for him here tonight. Pricey though. You want to get to some of these other guys. 5K is a lot to spend on a catcher. Moving into the mid tier, we talk a lot about our Gabriel Moreno spot, $2,800. Just a good punt play today.
Just a good punt play, and the field is there with us. He's definitely the chalk value catcher. Diamondbacks lineup just came out, hitting 7th. Slightly better than normal, I guess, right? It's usually 8th. So, lefties have really, really killed Drew Ruchinski. I mean, he hasn't pitched well
Right.
in limited sample at all, but yeah, that's our chalk. And I don't, there's nothing else that like.
That's how I feel. I'm kind of like spending down at Gabriel Moreno, or I'm going to look at a Salvi, a Stevenson play, basically where I'm at.
kind of more on the. I'm kind of really digging the Sean Murphy thing.
If you can get there, it depends what you're. I mean, you got to pay $6,500 for Acuna or something, right? $6,300 for Acuna.
Yeah, it's pricey.
You almost have to use Waka probably in that lineup, right, for value pitching.
Yeah, there's nothing else. I mean, the you're right. Like the only value, like catcher 5,000, Matt Olson 5,500, Albies 48, Riley 51, Arcia is 36, Harris is 35, Pilar is 28, and Marshall
Right,
is
we'll probably
26.
play. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. Arcia,
Osuna, 5 home
sure,
runs in his last
sure,
10 games.
Acuna,
Like that's probably
probably the
where.
guy. Yep.
Yeah, it's probably there.
But again, it's hard to go. Braves are way cheaper on FanDuel. Yeah, I mean that's definitely the advantage of having multi sites. We talk about this a lot. We preview DraftKings here. A lot of our base play on DraftKings, but if you play on FanDuel and you got FanDuel questions, we did a FanDuel show last Thursday. We did the FanDuel show.
Thursday, yeah, when they had
So
the
certainly not
split slate.
opposed to talking some FanDuel if you guys got questions. And we did notice doing that show some of the crazy pricing. The Toronto guys were pretty cheap then too. Like Springer was like mid 2Ks, and we're like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Because we like Toronto here today. If we move on over to first base, Vladimir Guerrero there at $5,800. We like them against Brito. I'm sure we'll like him against Cordero because Brito's coming in after. So for me, Vladdy was our cover of today's show. Remains to be our favorite first baseman.
Yeah, there's nothing not to like about Vladdy against Brito, and he continues to hit. Springer and Riley are below 3K. I mean,
yeah, that's what we figured. They're both that's crazy. So
that's the one thing about FanDuel that I like is their
pitching's also
like
fairly expensive too. Though.
Yeah, it's incredibly expensive. Every pitcher's over 9K. They are very reactive to like latest like samples, and if you're not doing well, your price is depleting, and that's just not the case on DraftKings. You could be like 0 for 35, unless you're Chris Davis, where you're $600. You're gonna still be 5K if you've like had a history.
They had Jose Iglesias at like $4,800, and he's not even in the league, right? Like DraftKings doesn't care.
Yeah, Vladdy's a top dog. If you're playing a Brave stack, like obviously Matt Olson's someone who does hit lefties reasonably well. It's not scared away. Olson or Rizzo has been really good of late. Doesn't hurt with Aaron Judge hitting in front of you.
Rizzo at home has been our play, right? So, sorry, Rizzo, right?
It's in Toronto.
They moved the fences in Toronto, so that's where I was kind of leading into that because we like him at home because of the short wall over there, and then Toronto moved in the wall to help their hitters, and so this could play for Rizzo up here today as well. So I like that.
I agree.
Pasquantino at 4,200. I know we're big Pasquantino fans here in this household here. James, the Moose is on the loose tonight.
I know he's hitting
cleanup today against Hunter Green.
He's hitting.
So I'm just throwing that out there.
I could not believe I saw it. I meant to tag you in it, but the day gets away from me sometimes, and I just the live reaction to you seeing the Moose is on the list.
Hitting cleanup now. Hunter Green, obviously a very tough spot to go against. A lot of strikeouts, but also if you've seen him before, very inefficient. Can't give up hits, can't give up runs. If you're stacking Colorado, it makes sense. The Moose is going to probably be playing a lot because CJ Cron's going on the IL. So probably going to see a lot of Moustakas here coming forward. We walked by Alec Boehm, but you get him against a lefty here at 4K, and Alex Wood could be a spot.
Yeah. Oh, one half of the Power Play Boys, right? Is that the Power Play Boys is in our chat? Mark Pitts. Mark, what's going on? One half of the Power Play Boys.
No faith in the Rockies today.
No faith in the Rockies. I mean, it is interesting line movement though. And you know what? If we went back and looked at opening days on Coors, and I mentioned this to you whoever we had last time in Coors, it has like held true. I think it was Philly. Nobody scoring first night in Coors. Right. Line movement, a full run from 11.5 to 10.5. That's one of the lower totals we've had in Coors. So I don't disagree necessarily. Obviously I could,
They're just
get a
not a
sock
good.
shove in my
They're just
mouth
not a good
and
lineup.
yeah, they
Like that's the thing. They're just
it
not a good lineup. In years past, they at least had like good players on their team, right? Like they have okay guys. Like Chris Bryant's okay. Her profile's fine, right?
he's been better.
But at
Yeah,
least
he's
in the
been
past,
better.
they
And
had like real all-star talent in the lineup.
Nolan Arenado,
Yeah,
Nolan
Arenado,
Arenado,
Tulowitzki back, Carlos Gonzalez back in the day. You know,
Blackman in his
prime.
prime.
They had guys, Trevor Story, right? They had guys in their lineup that you're like, all right, sure, they can't hit it on the road, but you get them in course. They all have power to hit 30 home runs. Who's doing that in this lineup? Grichuk, their best player right
Right.
now. Like, yeah, it's just a weaker lineup. So I agree, Mark. Probably zero faith in the Rockies today. But you say that and they'll go win 10-6 today. So
Yep, probably.
we go further down. I know you've been on Noda a little bit. Lamonte waits and at least get one at bat against Brogdon. So assuming he's in the lineup, they may not, knowing that Bailey Falter is going to come into this game eventually. They may not even waste the start here with Wade, but a lot of power there. Kirilloff has been a big fan of ours, $2,800, and Prado also $2,800. I know we've been in on him as well.
Yeah, so back to Moose.
Sure.
Just quickly, righties have been the worst split for Hunter Green. They've given him a lot of problems, hitting 329, lefties 210 against Hunter Green, 960 OPS for righties, 600 OPS for lefties. So keep that in mind. Colorado, 4 of the first 6 batters in their lineup lefty. So maybe we do like a little Hunter Green tonight, John. Just throwing that out there. Yes, on both the guys at 2,800 and Kirilloff and Prado. The good thing as well, if you want to play them both, you can because they're both outfield eligible. I'll throw one more name out there for you. Spencer Steer, $3,400 going into Coors Field. We've talked about like Connor Siebold being a relief pitcher for the Red Sox that is trying to be stretched out into a starter. Spencer Steer has been pretty good of late, especially in the power department. 3 home runs in his last 10 games, 3 doubles in that span as well, 6 extra base hits. 343 WOBA against righties, and Siebold has been equally bad against lefties and righty. 850 OPS allowed to both sides of the split. 363 WOBA allowed to righties as well. Spencer Steer hitting 4th. And the Reds got very interesting this evening with their lineup, with Matt McLain getting called up, top 100 prospect in baseball, hitting 2nd power speed. Like, the Reds are just your funnel for value, especially at the top of their lineup, because Jake Fraley is really cheap on DraftKings, 4,200. Matt McLain is mint stone cold.
You have a min price.
Starting shortstop, hitting
second in Coors Field. I know the DFS Mountain Lion will be absolutely thrilled to see the min price Coors play on today's slate. That's for sure. The other half of the Power Play Boys. So
the other half of the Power Play Boys, the podcast title that they told me about on Saturday, no one else. But just pairing, like, just using McLain and Steer, like if that was the and Fraley, like let's say you just play 2 through 4, like so free, like you have all the dollars to spend up. You don't even need to take a gamble on Michael Wacha. I really like Spencer Steer here hitting 4th.
I'm with you there 100%. Let's go on over to second base. We mentioned the values there. Helps to get Jonathan India at $5,600. Jonathan India, as much as we love him, 56 is steep. Now he's cooled off a bit. He was he started to heat up. He had cooled off a bit. He's starting to heat up a little bit more. You look at his last 10 games, 361, 1,000 OPS, power, 2 homers, 3 stolen bases, 8 on the year now. It's good form for him to start rolling into Coors Field.
Yeah, and the righty split has actually been better for him this year. 330 against righties, 387 WOBA. And the thing we love about Jonathan India the most, I would say, is his dual threat ability. 3 home runs is, fine. 12 doubles, but 8 stolen bases this year. So
he's not like a 30 home run guy. He's a 20 max home run guy, probably.
Right. I'm just saying, like, he can do both. Like he can,
Yeah,
you
but you're
know,
getting the 1-2 hitters for Cincinnati tonight in cores at $7,600 combined, right? So
right.
ridiculous value there, especially when we talked about it. We like some other teams tonight as well to help you kind of sort of fit in some of that value here. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. If we're going off of India tonight, where's your next go down to? Is it as simple as we got Albies against a rookie lefty here at $4,800?
Sure is. He's in third. I mean, look, this is dream. Like this is the problem too. Like I'm not saying I'm shifting off my Blue Jays, like our Blue Jays love and desire from this morning, but like Atlanta's in such a good spot, and I know Cody Bradford had been great at AAA and whatnot, but there had been no history suggesting that this was going to turn
Right.
around. You have already suggested that it's largely due to luck, and
Five over
when you're
5 xFIP and a 208 BAPIP against him at AAA tonight. So
and like that's the luck he's getting that luck in the
right.
PCL. Like
In case you were
like
wondering, the splits for Ozzy Albies against lefties, they're still real. 434 average, 830 slug, 1275 OPS. 5 of his 10 home runs have come against lefties in 50% of the at bats. He's got 105 against righties, 5 homers, just 53 against lefties. And he has 10 extra base hits against lefties in those 53 at bats compared to just 8 extra base hits and 105 against righties. So, absolute monster against
yep.
left-handed pitching. Always has been, always will be.
Sometimes I wonder, John, like I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but like switch hitting is cool and every kid wants to do it and
Peter
like you're
Jones,
like always taking like you're always like taking batting practice like, "Oh, I'm going to switch hit." And then you're like, "Oh, actually suck at this. Like I can only hit from." I wonder if if people like Ozzy Albies just hit from the right side, if they would just be infinitely better, right? Cuz like they're clearly like he is clearly better from the right side of the
yeah.
plate. And that has been since the first time he stepped into the box in the major league level. Like, I wonder if he's just better off, just, and I get it. It's like, oh, well, you can't match up against him. Well, like, what if he's just
Yeah.
always a 300 hitter if he just hits from the right side,
I mean, yeah, he's hitting 220, he's hitting 171 against right-handed pitching. So he can't be any worse going righty versus righty.
Some stats, just always something I've thought about when like there's just somebody who switch hits that is just
You know why
infinitely
they, you
better
know
from
why
the
they
right
do
side
it,
of the
right?
plate.
Money.
Why?
If they get out,
Yeah, of
they're switch
course.
hitter in their contract, they get paid a little more. All right, moving down into that mid-tier range. Where are we? What's our next target here?
I know Jorge Polanco's been bad, but there's been a little bit of positive regression coming his way. Hits in 4 of his last 5. He's been on base a whole bunch over that span. Noah Syndergaard's been dreadful against left-handed bats. So Jorge Polanco, 4,500, hitting 5th.
Oh,
I
you
like
mean Syndergaard against lefties is bad, and we have Minnesota on the slate?
Syndergaard. Syndergaard,
Max
yes,
Kepler,
it's an
Kira,
awful feeling. It's an
Joey
awful feeling.
Gallo. Can't wait to lose.
Couldn't
We're
be a
gonna
worse
lose more
feeling.
money on Minnesota today.
Couldn't be a worse feeling.
I don't want
Than
to cover any more
having
slates with
Minnesota.
Minnesota because we just
I
always
know.
end up stacking them, and it just doesn't work out for us. Except for when we don't stack them and they score
They have 27 runs in the
runs.
last 2 games.
John gets married for a weekend, doesn't play MLB DFS, and they score 27 runs. Unbelievable.
I mean, this is complete. Like they are telling us, looking at that number, it is screaming at us to not play Minnesota. It is screaming from the rooftops. Like our ticker on the bottom, instead of like, so we needed like an AI to come in and just tell us like, don't play Minnesota. Like every time we have Minnesota on the slate, or someone just yell at us, right? Like one half of the power play boys, like please be out there somewhere.
So
telling us
don't
not to play
play.
Minnesota.
Listen, I get that Max Kepler's cheap, but like don't put him in your lineup.
I know.
Anyways, side tangent over here.
It is a good spot. It is a good spot for Polanco.
Whit Merrifield's hitting 6. I don't mind that at $3,900.
Love that. Yes, love that.
Dubon 33. I'm in. Fine, works for me. Keeps on leading off. Second base, cheap. Emmanuel Valdez, I'm fine with that too. If you're on Boston, $3,100. He's cheap. That plays. Where else are you looking here, sir?
It's Michael Massey if you're punting, I think. We've talked about it a few times. Didn't do much the last few days, but he had a really nice stretch. 5-6 straight games of 7 or more fantasy points. He's 2,300. including a couple bombs over that span too. So Massey's a good little player. Michael Wacha has had his struggles against left-handed bats. Against lefties this year, 870 OPS, 372 WOBA allowed. So, if you land on Michael Massey, it's not the worst. If you land on Michael Massey, you also could be looking at a 0, and it wouldn't surprise me.
Any
So,
Harold Castro interest?
No, I know he's in the lineup, but like I said, lefties have not been the strong side, and I think Colorado just sometimes you can tell what teams look into analytics and what don't. Like the Braves hitting Ozzy Albies third against a lefty. I'm like, yeah, okay, they understand.
Well, as Bryce
Ozzie
Harper
Albies
said, the Rockies are a loser franchise, right?
that is exactly what he said for sure. But the Rockies have 4 of their top 6 hitters hitting lefty. Hunter Green has been dominant against lefties. Like sometimes you just because he's a righty doesn't mean you need to just stack lefties. Like that's not, if Kevin Cash was the manager, I guarantee you 6 of the first 7 batters would be righties. Because Kevin Cash, has the Joe Girardi binder present at all times. So I don't know. Probably not. I understand it. Probably not going to get there.
Moving on over to the third base position here this evening. Devers, Chapman, and Riley are your top 3. As we mentioned now, Austin Riley hitting cleanup against a rookie, lefty, and Bradford here at $5,100. It felt like we were a little indifferent on where to go here on this slate this afternoon, or this morning rather, when we recorded. But it feels like that picture gets a little bit clearer with the Bradford starting now for Texas.
Yes, it does. Austin Riley. I mean, dude, these numbers the Braves have against left-handed pitching this year are scary good. Riley hitting 4th, 289 ISO against lefties, 402 WOBA. Again, it's a pitcher that they haven't seen, so anything could happen. We've seen it,
JP Franson out there do 5 shutout against
right. With the third sickest mustache in the league. And I think if Bradford doesn't come in with a sick mustache, he's not as intimidating to these Braves, So I think Austin Riley is the guy. I think Chapman's a close second because Cordero. First off, Cordero has to throw strikes when he's out there. He is not the most reliable strike thrower that the Yankees have coming out of their bullpen. But Johnny Brito is absolutely horrendous against right-handed pitching, or right-handed hitters, rather, excuse me. So, Matt Chapman at home in a ballpark that doesn't hold baseballs very well against a guy that doesn't keep the ball. John, righties this year against Johnny Brito. 399 WOBA, 338 ISO against the lineup that just hits for power.
It has a lot of righties in it.
It has a lot of righties in
Toronto so much.
Right. So, yes, could Jimmy Cordero strike Matt Chapman out? And
Corey Kluber struck him out 3 times a couple weeks ago.
Correct. Shout out to the Klubot.
Got lit up yesterday. That's fine.
Got lit up. I'm shocked. But Austin Riley and Matt Chapman, I think, are the 2 guys here. You could always play Devers. I'm sure no one's going to play Devers, and has as much upside as anyone.
We talk about the Padres. Machado's 47. I get it. He's been awful, but so is Brad Keller. So
he is.
Certainly you can throw some Machado in there. Senzel gets the Coors Field spot. You got him there. You got a very cheap Bregman, $4,200.
Yep.
Again, I know he
stinks. He stinks.
Very bad.
He stinks.
But he's down there. I think we played JD Davis earlier this morning, didn't we?
We did. Yes.
He's $3,800.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
Anybody else?
You can play Brian Anderson. It's his good split, 3,600 if you're not playing Flaherty. You can play
Michael Garcia is 2,500, but he's fallen off pretty quickly.
Yeah, he has not been as good. Senzel I like, but he's also kind of slowed down, and he's been better against lefties. Let's see what do we got for ownership here at third. Okay, I just want to look. Josh Rojas checking in, but that's also due to position eligibility.
Sure.
Riley McMahon, a lot of people are getting to. Machado, which I saw San Diego being one of the more popular teams of the day, and I just kind of like it's one of those things, man. Like they just haven't been good, and I know they're going to all come together collectively and score like 50 runs in a game, and it's not going to surprise anyone. Um, just I don't want to play a chalky San Diego because
Emmanuel Rivera is still hitting. I know it's a righty, not the split we usually like for him, but
Arizona lineup is out. Emmanuel Rivera not playing.
Okay.
Rojas leading off, playing third.
There it is. Then.
And he's the most popular third baseman, 4,600. I will say, and I've grown to really like Arizona throughout the day, and that's basically because Drew Rucinski didn't pitch in Major League Baseball since 2018, and since appearing, he has been so bad, like so bad. And lefties have like the best numbers in baseball. Like he's the worst pitcher statistically against lefties in the league. It's a very small sample.
How does Oakland keep throwing this guy out here?
It's so bad. Like we didn't mention Christian Walker. I know Christian Walker was ready, but like I would play him.
Pavin Smith, man.
I would play Pavin Smith. The lineup is out. He's Pavin Smith hitting fifth. We're gonna get to a guy in the outfield that I love tonight. That's broken out for Arizona, hitting sixth, and Moreno hitting like. There is a lot to like about Arizona. So I understand.
Arizona understanding the analytics having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lefties in the lineup tonight.
Like, I understand getting to Josh Rojas because he's dual eligible and he's leading off, and Gruchinski's been terrible against lefties. So I do get it. Not my favorite play, but if that's where you wanted to go,
he's still like $400 too cheap, too expensive for me.
I would say I think as the quote that you and I like to tweet about the NBA draft, he's $400 away from being He's $400 too expensive from being $400. That's fair. Correctly priced.
That's fair. All right, value. Anybody else down here that we're looking at, or no? I think we went over
Wilmer. Wilmer, because they're gonna bring Braley Falter in, and Wilmer's been good against lefties this year again. Okay. That's where you wanted to go. You dare. I saw that. I saw you flash.
Look at him.
I know
look at the hits and the runs.
Yeah, you guys should have seen John's wedding. There was a Kyle Farmer jersey hanging up in the venue. It was.
I tried to get a jersey that was stapled on, sprayed on the cake, but I wasn't allowed.
Yeah, true. I
tried to replace the topper with the Kyle Farmer jersey. Shortstop here. So here's I guess the question, right? We are all in 100% Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
But that was before we had a $2,000 Matt McClain. So
I know.
I almost feel like you have to play this dude, right? Hitting second at 2K in course. Like, how do you not?
This is crappy because
we also like Schmidt here.
Casey Schmidt exists in the world at $2,800. Like, John, it's a tough thing because the public.
It's play Bichette, play Schmidt, play McClain, and move on.
The public is with you, and I can't blame them. Everyone is playing McClain.
How do you not?
Everyone. Agreed. Fully agree. It's a fantastic spot. He's 2K. He was absolutely destroying AAA in power and speed, both double digits in both stolen bases and home runs. And he's stone cold min at 2K. So, if you wanted to pivot, Casey Schmidt, 3K, finally didn't reach base on Sunday, 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. He had to come back to earth. He wasn't going to hit 500 forever. But he's also been awesome. 2 home runs, 3 doubles in 6 games. So $3,000.
Also, he's just floating around our auction league, James. I just picked him up this morning. Everybody's asleep at the wheel.
Everyone's still recovering. Everyone in the league was in your wedding. So everyone's still recovering.
Wedding party or at the wedding.
So
it's true.
Everyone's still recovering, having a couple days of Impemba fog. Yeah. So by the way, this is our comment from last year where no one played the Blue Jays, happening again today. So
they were our favorite team going into the slate this morning.
Right.
There's just been obviously a lot of
moving parts.
moving
Yeah.
parts. So it's like a lot of people probably went into it like, all right, Toronto against Burrito today, lock me in. And then all of a sudden, this lefty kid gets called up to go from Texas. Like, oh, everybody on the Braves hits 480 against left-handed pitching. Now we go to Atlanta, but they're still core. It's like, no worries, we have a 2K shortstop. We'll get our exposure there. And it's like, no,
hitting second.
So, because like if you think about it, it kind of fits sort of the side builds that you want to do. You can play this 2K shortstop because you're not going to play an Atlanta shortstop, right? You're not going to play. I mean, you could play Bichette if you wanted to, but you don't have to anymore. So, like, you know, it kind of opens up the side stacks where you can still play Atlanta and some value there with the Reds today and get Albies, Acuna, Riley, and things like that. So, because we'll hit on some more Reds as we move down that are fairly cheap today when we get to the outfield. So,
if Michael Wacha wasn't your chalk value pitcher of the day, I could see more ownership being dispersed elsewhere. Right. But like, because that is like what people are being like, okay, if I don't play this guy at 2K, I'm playing Michael Wacha. Right. Do I want to do that? And more off the field is picking the shortstop.
Yeah. Other shortstops here, just kind of giving a quick look again. RC is 3,600. You get the wraparound stack there. He was on fire before getting hurt. He's been called back up here and really just kind of picked up, you know, where he's left off. He's been hitting the ball pretty well for them. Let's see. Anybody else? I mean, JP Crawford's leading off today. Not that
He's also getting. Okay, just so for context, like 50% of shortstop ownership is going to McLean and Crawford.
Yeah, I mean, listen, $2,900 leading off, and he's on fire, right? Hits in 10 straight. This looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 straight games he's got hits. So, and you mentioned the game total in Boston's pretty high, and people don't think much of Tanner Houck, though. I think he's probably a better reliever than a starter, but they have him starting. So
you talked about it though on the podcast this morning. Like, he has beat up bad teams.
Yeah.
And is Seattle a bad team? No, they're 20-20. Like, they're still in their division, whatever. But they have been a bottom 10 offense all year. So there is, you know, the worry for Houck that lefties have given him problems. 284 average, 850 OPS, 365 WOBA. But like, outside Crawford, it's Jared Kelenic, Cal Raleigh, and then Trammell Wong hitting 8-9, both hitting under 200 against righties.
So some other numbers on Houck here. 50% ground ball rate on the season.
Love that.
Pretty strong.
Love that.
5.26 ERA, but that's with a 3.64 expected ERA. He's got a 4.04 FIP, a 4.09 xFIP. So again, some numbers that kind of indicate that maybe he's getting a little bit unlucky here. A 4.39 Sierra. So ground balls. Now, the one worry I have here is his lowest strikeout rate of his career. Walks are still kind of floating around there, so maybe he can work himself up some more punch-outs, could be a bit more effective, but, you know, this should definitely be a mid-tier spot for him.
Agreed. And that's kind of like, I would rather probably take a shot on him than Michael Wacha, and that's not because we are like a Kansas City bred podcast here. Like, we have now we might as well have like the flag. We just might as well be wearing Royals jerseys every time we record or go live. But yeah, I'd rather take a shot on Hope than Michael Wacha for $300 more.
Yeah, I would agree with you there 100%. All right, let's go on to the outfield. Again, you look at our player rater on the year. Ronald Acuna is number 1. For a good reason. He's got 8 homers, 17 stolen bases. He's hitting 300 with 954 over the last 10. 3 homers and 3 stolen bases over the last 10. And we've always known that when it comes to his split stats, I mean, he hits everybody, right? But, you know, against lefties was always kind of an angle that we wanted to take with him. This year, again, really no different. 349, 558, 1,000 OPS against left-handed pitching. Instantly, if he wasn't already anyways the top play on the slate, like, it feels like he is just right there today.
Dude, the Braves numbers against lefties are actually just hilarious. They are so hilarious. And Acuna is obviously atop that list. Yeah, I mean, getting cheaper. He was 6,500 the other day. And they're like, you know, steal 2 bases, hit a home run the next day, and let's lower his price tag a couple $100. So yeah, I mean he's the top play in outfield, and then it's everybody else.
Yep. I agree with you. So let's not waste too much time here. Corbin Carroll is the guy you alluded to earlier. $5,200.
It actually wasn't.
You said a lefty in Arizona. Yeah. Wasn't Corbin Carroll?
Correct. Well, so I'm not saying that Corbin Carroll isn't a great play. Not the lefty in Arizona that I was
talking like Alec Thomas.
That was a tease. Nope. There is a third lefty outfielder for Arizona that we
I don't
will
even
get
know
to.
who that. I haven't
made my value play. Made my value play today. My value play article.
Right, well, I'm excited to read that then. Let's go a little bit further down then.
But I do love Corbin. Like, I do.
When you alluded to lefty in Arizona, we'll get to later. I was like, he's talking about Corbin Carroll here.
No, not so fast, my friend. Not so fast.
All right. Castellanos hits the lefty spot here. I don't mind that. 4,900. I know better pitchers environment in San Francisco, but he's been hitting the ball pretty well.
He really has.
I still like Springer at 46. Varsho's at 46. Those are fine.
I prefer Springer of the two, just because the righty splits for Johnny Brito.
That's fine. Fraley and Friedel, right? Fraley is $4,200.
Friedel on
the IL, right? So Fraley at 42. Good value here for him against Seabold. Joey Gallo is leading off today. What are we doing?
Yo, so this is second. So, dude, I hate it. I hate it here. Not the Better Sports Network, just here.
The Better Sports Network is great. You can download the free Better Sports Network app right now on the iTunes and Google Play Store. You get all access to our on-demand contests. You got Bettercast. You got live on-demand shows. So, I mean, no better time than now to go download from the iTunes and Google Play Store that Better Sports Network app.
Here is with me and you talking about the Twins again. That's where I hate, John. Not Fantasy Alarm, not Better Sports. Here, you, me, Twins. Like, we need to. That needs.
It could be because my new wife is also a twin, so maybe I just have some sort of like,
your new wife.
Well, she wasn't my wife 3 days ago.
Yeah, put the old wife.
Mark here, Kirilloff on Satan's team. Yeah, we can call Minnesota Satan's team. That's fine.
They for our bank accounts. That is a fact, Mark.
And Ozuna as a filler punt. We did mention Ozuna earlier. We'll get to him in a moment here. I do like that call as well. Grichuk's hitting 5th. Like it. Duran leading off tonight.
Yes. He's getting the bump. It's funny how like he started off like scorching hot, and it was like, all right, we'll just move you to 6th. Like we could. And now he's like completely cooled off, and they're like, you know what? We'll get you jump started.
Utilize that speed. Lourdes is hitting cleanup, but not a lefty. Let's see here.
I guess the fourth outfielder.
Astoria Ruiz hitting leadoff against. I don't mind that against Kelly, even though we like Kelly here tonight. Talked about Pavement Smith already, so I don't think.
Fifth outfielder for Arizona.
Larnach is there against on Satan's team, affectionately dubbed.
Satan's team. I love it. I Mark, the Power Play Boy is definitely going to be brought to you by Better Sports Network.
All right, tell me, spill the beans here. Who is our Arizona Diamondbacks outfielder?
$2,400. Dominic Fletcher, hitting 6th this evening, has been a monster to start this since being called up. Hitting .429 in the year, hitting .438
everything we wanted
over his last 10 games. Everything to a T. What the world, especially you couldn't find bigger fans of Jake McCarthy if you listened to our.
He was good last year. He was not good this year.
He was awfulish. Maybe maybe it's like what is the speaking of Twins, what is that Lindsay Lohan like? They switch
Freaky Friday?
Switch places. Maybe it's not that. Whatever show, like people, there's a movie, or they switch bodies.
Freaky
like
Friday.
Maybe this is Jake McCarthy. Okay, yeah, Freaky Friday. I believe you. Maybe Dominic Fletcher and Jake McCarthy have switched bodies, and because Dominic Fletcher has been a beast against righties, 267 ISO, 539 WOBA. And I understand it's a small sample. 9% strikeout rate, not missing. 54% hard hit rate. Like, I'm in. 2,600 or $2,400 hitting sixth in a lineup. Pavin Smith hitting in front of him, lefty, as you just mentioned, in a good split. Gabriel Moreno, we love hitting behind him. Corbin Carroll is a few spots ahead of him. Like, there's a lot to like about Arizona tonight. Dominic Fletcher for me, John, and I know like we have a lot of value. He's a close to a core play considering the matchup for me.
I mean, he's $2,100.
I know, and he got in on he got in all the fun.
Bauer's leading off tonight for your Yankees here. Who are the Yankees?
I know it's
playing?
just
what is this lineup here?
No,
I get that. What's in this lineup for New York today?
I mean, they're not leading off.
Are they missing?
Like they've officially said like we're not leading.
Volpe's sitting sixth.
Yeah. So no Bader.
Okay.
Tonight. No,
I'm not using Manoah, but I mean, just kind of like a weird line.
So if you want to use Manoah, Jake Bauers is leading off. Willie Calhoun is hitting fifth.
Aaron
you have
Hicks
to get past Judge.
So like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, like you have to get past Judge. Rizzo
survive
Torres.
The second inning, basically, or the
first inning. Survive the first inning.
Yeah.
Survive the first, the fifth, or the fourth, the first, the fourth, like. You know, and maybe like halfway through the third time around the lineup, and you could. But okay, let's talk about this then. Does that put you on Alek Manoah a little bit?
No.
Knowing that Jake Bauers leading off, and no.
All right, let's build our lineup. We got a couple of minutes left. We're gonna go McLean, I imagine, at shortstop. Albies and Acuna, yeah.
Albies and Acuna.
I don't think we need a 3-man stack it, but we can figure it out when we get there.
We don't.
Let's get.
Go with my boy Fletcher.
Yeah, Fletcher's in there. 2,400. Pitching. We liked Peralta and Kelly, right?
Yes. Yeah, let's go Peralta Kelly.
Right, so we got 4,100 to play. Outfield, third base, first base.
Moreno's with the Fletcher Moreno 6-7 stack.
Okay. So 4,600 right? First, third. I guess we can fit Riley in here now. $4,400 for first base and an outfielder.
Jake Fraley in the outfield. Right? Jake Fraley?
Yeah.
Heading third in course.
Fraley, yeah, that works. And then $4,600. Where's Steer? There you go.
What do we have? Can we get to Frambar?
We can get off from Moreno. 4K. 4K. Don't really give you much, I guess. Jonah Heim.
Does that do anything? I mean, we can move off of if you wanted to move off of Fletcher, like $3,600.
Get you a ton.
3,600 to get you to Pavin Smith if you'd rather Pavin Smith.
I like Fletcher. I like it. We have a lot of money left over. We got to figure out what we're going to do with it. We got a minute left. Where do we go? What if we did this? Well, how much is Framber? 10-7, 83. Tanner Houck. Let's do that.
Tanner Houck.
Let's do that. So Framber Valdez, Tanner Houck, Gabriel Moreno, Spencer Steer, Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Matt McLean, Ron Acuna. Was it David Fletcher? Is that what he said his name was? Dominic Fletcher at 2,400, and then Jake Fraley there. That's our lineup here for tonight's slate. We'll be in the Discord up until roster lock, so find us there if you have any questions. Again, if you're not yet a member of the Fantasy Alarm All-Pro team here, see down below, fantasyalarm.com/all-pro. Promo code MLB50 saves you 50% off the first 6 months, and now we have a 7-day free trial to go along with that as well. James and I will be back tomorrow, breaking down Tuesday's slate. Good luck, everybody.